I feel like I'm the only person in my immediate circle, or I don't know, people that I talk to, who literally, and which this is precisely why I didn't sleep the other night, feels like everybody keeps saying, "Oh, that's it. Trump has it in the bag now." Do you understand how they galvanized everybody now? All these people who are Democrats now went over to his side, which is true.
Yeah.
Dude, between now and November, there's 3 months. 4 months, I'm sorry. 4 months. A little less than 4 months. These people are psychopaths.
Yeah.
They're not going, they're like the T-1000. They're not going to stop until you're dead. And not just Trump, until we're all dead. They're
Okay.
not done.
I don't.
And I
I
and I
think.
have yeah.
I think they're. I think they're probably done.
They are done, but the thing is they're not, they're done, but they're not done. You know what I mean?
I think they're done and done.
You think they're going to do anything else? They're going to try any other
I
stunts?
think. I think that this was their shot.
Mm-hmm.
They,
Literally.
they literally I think they used like a the weakness that Trump, like for instance, he even thanked the the Secret Service. It's funny how people are saying SS on the Twitter. They're saying SS, and I'm like, I don't want to hear them referred to as SS. You don't want to say SS to a Jewish guy, okay? But basically, he was like, oh, I just want to thank the Secret Service for the wonderful job that they did. They did a shitty job. They probably were in on it, okay? And somebody was saying how, like, they kept talking about that lady who couldn't holster her gun. Also, she ducked, like she didn't like dive on Trump. And also, even if she did dive on Trump, she'd only cover like about up to his like knee joint. Okay, so
unbelievable.
Yeah, so DEI
Yeah,
hires.
this is at best.
Secret Service, right?
Yeah.
So I think that they exploited his soft heart and his I think he's too fair to a fault.
Yeah.
Where he wants to give everybody a chance to prove themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like he can't wait to say yes. I want to hire this woman. Of course, only if she deserves it. But he wants her so bad.
Yeah, because he used to hire women. He used to hire women all the time for his project.
He wants to show that there are great women who deserve it, and it's true. But he might be a little too eager, right? So I think they exploited that. This guy who they call Hitler, this misogynist, right?
Yeah.
He exploited his soft heart for giving women a chance, right?
Yeah.
So now he's not going to do that. Meaning, he can hire private security, which is 100 times better than the modern American Secret Service.
Did you see the clips of like when Reagan got shot? How these guys just like
he's gonna hire Israeli security guys. He'll be safe,
dude. These guys like they literally created like a phalanx. You couldn't even see him when Reagan got shot.
The fact that he got shot is like, first of all, it's just so insane.
Yep.
By the way, interesting pattern: Abraham Lincoln.
Yep.
And then there was Teddy Roosevelt as well.
Sure.
There's another president as well, even between Lincoln and Roosevelt, which I'm very ashamed.
Grover Cleveland. Hold on, let's see. Presidents
who were with assassination attempts.
Yeah. Losing the United States. Garfield by Charles J. Gatineau. McKinley by Leon Shogo something. JFK, and then Ronald Reagan, Teddy Roosevelt. Oh, these are guys that, okay. 4 sitting presidents have been killed. Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, William McKinley, John F. Kennedy. 3 presidents have been injured in an attempted assassination: Ronald Reagan, Teddy Roosevelt, and Donald Trump. Also, somebody tried to do something to Bush, George W. Bush. That kind of like, people forgot about that one.
They threw the shoe at him?
No, that was just like funny, but that was just to like, here.
I mean, he was okay with that. His reflexes were pretty good. He's like,
yeah. In 2005, this Georgian guy wanted to kill him, to assassinate him and the Georgian president. It was like a plot. He had a grenade.
Yeah. So it's you know, look, obviously, you know, Reagan, that was the CIA, of course.
Yeah.
Because you know they wanted to get him out of the way, so Bush. But it didn't work. He survived. Another miracle, by the way. Okay. And I want to talk about that in a moment. But do you think you could? I need to go pee.
No problem, sir.
All right, I'll be right back.
Folks, those who's joining us, we were just talking about the whole situation with President Trump. I like how they call him former president. He's a president. No one ceases to be president, even when they're not in office physically. They're always president, Mr. President. If you guys probably know that every president is entitled to a security service, Secret Service, but Mayorkas has been every time they make a request, Mayorkas gives him the bare bones, the bare minimum. So now we have to ask the question, what's really going on here? It can't just be a screw up. That much we know. It can't be a screw up. Especially since we talk about this with Frank when he gets back, but especially since we have video footage of the guys who were on the roof, the snipers, who waited till shots were fired to fire upon the person who shot, the person who was shooting. So, which was also a little bit strange. And now you could say, well, maybe that was a reaction time, maybe that was an issue, maybe this, maybe that, but something here is a little bit strange. However you slice it, folks, this was their last attempt. And of course, they all came out, violence is never the answer. These people stoked violence for 9 years. Nancy Pelosi says there's got to be people on the streets. Maxine Waters said get in people's face when you go to see them at a diner. Madonna said, I want to blow up schmo up the Schmite house. Johnny Depp said something about fantasizing about assassinating, John Wilkes Booth, the guy who killed Lincoln. He was like the George Clooney up-and-coming actor of his day.
Yeah.
I don't realize that.
Yeah.
So these people just go on and on and on and on for 9 years. This is, like, to me, it's like typical narcissism. Like when they say it, it's okay. When someone else says it, violence.
Can't believe I rooted for Johnny Depp in this trial.
Oh, against that lady?
Yeah.
Dude, they're both insane, okay? He attracted her. Speaking of dating, okay? That's another thing. Some of the people I've been with recently, I'm not absolved.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I attracted these people. For whatever reason, for however reason, whether it was my fault, partially my fault, something that happened. So we got to dive into God. We have to pray to God so that He puts us in the right mind frame.
Yeah.
So
to create the Timsum within us.
Yeah.
So,
and but yeah, man. Yeah.
Can we talk about miracles?
Please.
Probably should have started off.
Well, that's what I was telling our viewer, because he was joking around about the speed dating, and I said, and
how's our viewer doing?
Hey, he goes, there must be other solutions on Rumble, and I'm like, there are no solutions. The solution is to pray, miracle. The sea has to split. That's the solution.
Is it Chris? Is Chris our viewer?
No, this is Zapi.
Oh,
on Rumble.
Hey, Zapi.
There was a witness who came on BBC. He saw the shooter before. Yeah, we saw that guy with the red hair. Dan Bongino had a great whole thing analysis about this. He's a former Secret Service guy.
In order to drive home the point of the miracle, would you mind going on my Twitter and bringing it up on the? Yeah. It sounds a little vain. Oh, let's go to my Twitter. I wrote something. It just there's a diagram that I took a photograph of that kind of.
Oh yeah, I just saw it. Here we go. Yeah, this is crazy.
I just want to explain to the folks at home
Yeah.
what we're looking at here.
One inch to the left or the right, you're done.
So you see on the top, right?
Yeah.
That's how Trump's head orientation was during the speech. And then
Yeah.
for some reason, at that very moment,
Yeah.
he turned his head a little bit to the right. And
You know why he did that? To look at the chart that he put up of illegal immigration, a giant chart all the way to the 90 degrees of him. So thank you very much. So it's, dude, you understand? The first thing I thought of when I saw that, it's Bilam. He wanted to curse, and the curse came to him. These people brought in the illegal immigrants, and then Trump put a chart of this phenomenon, this legal immigration, and he looked in that direction, and then that's it.
Do you realize, by the way, that part of the head is the same place that JFK got shot?
Correct.
That's precisely where he got shot.
The back of the head, yeah.
The side, the right side, back side.
Yeah. Remember in Seinfeld, back and to the right.
I don't remember that.
In Seinfeld, they had a whole thing about the the baseball player Keith Hernandez. They were reenacting like somebody spitting, and he's like back into the right. Whatever. Yeah, that's a it's a miracle. It's from God. Clearly.
So it's literally it is a miracle, and this miracle is more accessible than a miracle that just occurred, which is a billion trillion times greater, more obvious than even this, which is what happened in Israel.
Yeah.
Right? With the 300 giant bombs, gigantic, huge bombs that Iran sent.
Correct.
That hit Israel.
I was there. They were over my head.
Greg was there. And it killed no one. It hurt a little girl.
Yeah.
I hope she's recovered by now.
Yeah.
Or on the road to recovery if she isn't fully recovered. Okay. And then you have people like McGregor who, it shows how, Iran was showing how advanced they are in projectile warfare, that they could aim. They did it just to show Israel how strong they are, that Israel better behave. And that's complete nonsense because, as we've said before, Iran couldn't even find a helicopter pilot who could fly their president without crashing him and everybody else in a mountain.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, that throws that theory right out into the, puts it to the wayside.
Yeah.
Okay. That Iran is so unbelievably advanced. Okay. It was one of the biggest miracles that ever happened. Right.
Yeah.
But since mankind itself is so asleep, so dumb, so in such darkness, people just, kind of looked away as if it was nothing. But this one is something that, and also not just because mankind was asleep. A lot of people hate the Jews. Okay. So everybody who hates the Jews is going to marginalize that miracle, diminish it as much as they can. Because a lot of people really can't stand the idea that God would do anything good for the Jews. Christians who hate Jews and Muslims that really hate Jews, right? They can't. So they're going to diminish anything that God does, which clearly seems to favor Israel. They're going to diminish it. They're going to marginalize it. They're going to minimize it. And so for that reason, and there's a lot of people like that who are in the media. So they're going to have an influence on others, right? Because they're the ones who spread information. So they minimize the giant miracle. But this one is more accessible to everybody because it's not something done to the Jews. It's done to the most famous man on earth, President Trump, right? And they tried to kill him. And his story is the most widely known story. Trump is the most famous man who ever lived. He's the most famous man who ever lived. And and everybody has something to say about him. Everybody on earth knows him. Okay. And and they know what he wants to do. You either love him or hate him, and they just tried to kill him, and they screwed up, and they missed. That and it was clear as day, and so it doesn't have that filter on it like anything, like what happened in Israel.
Yeah.
Trump, like no one is like, there's no stumbling block. There's no like weight holding a person back from seeing the openness of that miracle.
For sure.
So in that sense, it's a much smaller miracle, even though it's not. It's a very huge miracle. Very huge.
Yeah.
Because of the possible implications of what would happen if that miracle didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's a very, very, very big miracle. Very big miracle.
Yeah.
But it's something that everybody that everybody can benefit from. No one. It's very, very difficult to deny that. Okay.
Yeah.
Even those who hate Trump. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that was literally, like, I think at that moment they really understood that, like, the leftists, the Marxists, all the different branches of that hydra, of that leftist Gnostic fruitcake hydra, right? The trans with the Muslims and the Antifa and the Black Lives Matter and all that shit. It's all the same thing. I think they really understood that indeed God exists, and he seems to be protecting Trump. And I think they all felt that in that moment. They all felt that knot in their stomach, that dread of what's coming to them when they realized how badly they effed up. And you have these maniacs, these retards, like making TikTok videos and YouTube and videos, ranting and raving how they wish that they're mad at the shooter for missing. They're losing. They're completely, like, they know that they essentially know they're done.
So with what you're saying and with what you just said, so then why is my intuition, my antenna are still, am I just being paranoid?
Can you always tell the difference between your intuition and your deepest fears?
Yes. Because my deepest fears, it's more like, it's more, physiological. Like when you wake up, you have like an interview in the morning, or you have like some kind of a test or this or that kind of thing. I get physiological kind of stuff going on.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the dread of what might happen, like in the big picture.
I don't have necessarily a dread. I have a it's just like, again, we talk about that kind of the still small voice thing. It's just telling me. The crazy part is, man, I was just kind of bantering with a friend of mine about this whole, before all this happened, about just the election and how they're going to make Biden step down. And I was saying how, and he and I actually agreed that, like, they may try to shoot Trump. This was like 2 days before I said that, and my friend's like, yeah, they may try to do that. And then I'm like, dude, you know how I found out about this? It was Shabbat. Shabbat wasn't even over yet. My parents' neighbor came over, and she told us, and we literally turned the TV on during Shabbat. So I'm just like, and I was trying to actually nap, and I couldn't fall asleep for whatever reason. I just couldn't fall asleep, even though I wanted to sleep, but I couldn't completely doze off. It was like 6 o'clock, whenever it was, 6 o'clock.
I got to tell you,
it was something.
I got to tell you, like, I dread looking at the news after Shabbat or after a holiday.
Same.
Folks, for those of you who may not know, who might be joining us for the first time, we're Orthodox Jews.
Yeah.
So when we observe the Sabbath,
yeah,
or some of the festivals that have Sabbath-like rules, right? We don't, we disconnect from electronics, from electrical appliances, from computers, from phones, and none of that is permitted. So we're totally disconnected. It's back to kind of like just a more an attempt at a more spiritual consciousness, and disconnected from modern technology. and then when the Sabbath is over, people go looking for their phones to see what's going on. But
Yeah.
since October 7th, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't, because that happened right after, at the end of a holiday, which we call Simchat Torah, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those holidays where we can't pick up the phone and can't use computers.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. It's like it doesn't seem like it's ever going to be good news.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question though?
Yeah.
Did you notice behind people have pointed this out behind this whole situation? When Trump was being tackled to the ground, everybody was ducking, but there was one man sitting, or
Yeah.
sit. You noticed that guy, right?
It's not JFK Jr.
I know. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying who is that guy and why didn't he move?
He's a okay.
He's part of the Q movement or whatever.
He looks like a guy.
Uh-huh.
He's one of these, like like the guy who in Crown Heights,
Yeah,
who drives that bicycle that looks like a pirate ship.
I thought you were gonna say Charlie Buttons, the guy that wears a lot of buttons.
No, excuse me, Charlie Buttons. The guy who drives a bicycle that looks like a pirate ship, I think, is in New Orleans.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
there's always a guy who drives a crazy bicycle with all sorts of weird, right?
Yeah. This guy.
He's kind of like Charlie Buttons.
She's the Charlie Buttons of like the Trump world. Here.
Yeah, he's a guy who goes to all of Trump's rallies.
And everybody thinks he's either part of Q. I thought it was like Juan 07. You know Juan 07?
He's kind of like Stephen Wright's character in Half Baked.
Yeah.
He's like the guy he's one of these characters. He's a little spaced out dude.
Yeah, he didn't move. He was just like looking back and forth, and then he started filming. And then as soon as everybody was like, like cheering there, and then he cheered along with everybody else.
Look, he may be slightly special needs.
Could be.
People like that, sometimes they're born that way. Sometimes they did a lot of drugs. Sometimes they have I'm not trying to be funny now. Sometimes it happens from a head injury, or some kind of sickness that they gone through, right?
This is the guy.
Yeah. So there are people who are like, mostly functional, right? But they're a little bit spaced out. They're a bit disconnected, maybe a little autistic, slightly. Okay. Yeah. I think he fits somewhere into one of those characters. Okay. So that's most likely. And he's, seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And not everybody has the same, reflexes.
Yeah. Somebody wrote the reactions of a fight or flight freeze in fear is quite normal and extremely stressful. Yeah. Vincent Fuchsa, he goes to most Trump rallies, has become something of a VIP.
You know what's funny? I think it's Fuchsa or Fusca.
Fusca. Yeah.
It's funny because remember we watched that movie, Vibes.
The movie Vibes.
It's a great 80s movies.
1988 film.
Jeff Goldblum with Cyndi Lauper. They're psychics.
Oh yes.
They go to Ecuador to look.
Yes,
pretty cool actually.
Yeah.
And so Peter Falk's character, Columbo, his character in that movie is Mr. Buscafusco. That's his last name.
That's funny.
Harry Buscafusco.
That's hilarious.
And he has this scene where, oh man, I wish I could find it right now. Where he dreams about being rich. He's like, all I wanted was to be rich. All I wanted was to drive up in a limousine and say, oh, can I get your coat, Mr. Buscafusco? Would you like your luxury suite? As always, Mr. Buscafusco.
Yeah.
Isn't she a little young, Mr. Buscafusco?
Yeah. Well, let's see. There's a bunch of scenes here. Peter Falk in Vibes. See, even the crappy movies were good.
This is not a crappy movie. This is a great movie. I mean, it was a little... But he was the best part of the movie.
Nice room. Let's go. Where? Where do you think? Find Harry Jr.
You mean right now? I don't mean to be callous, but it's almost happy hour.
Fine. You rest here in this luxurious hotel at my expense. Meanwhile, Harry Jr. is lost in the mountains with bloodthirsty natives, cave dwellers, that are hitting him with sticks and shrinking his head. And his head wasn't that big to start with. But that's all.
His head was that big to start with.
I'll have more sons. Harry.
It's definitely the place. This shark's been here before. Very strong vibrations.
That way. Here we go.
There. You're sure? Positive. Whoever wore this shirt went off in that direction.
What's wrong?
This isn't your son's shirt.
Sure it is.
No. This shirt's only been worn by one man, an older man, much too old to be your son.
Did I say my son? No. I'm sorry. I'm his son. It's my father. Harry Senior.
He's not that old. He's about your age.
I'm adopted. My mother remarried. One of my high school buddies. She saw his picture in my yearbook and whammo.
Whammo.
Buy it.
All right, I lied. I was afraid if I told you the truth, you'd go off without me. You keep it for yourself.
You what?
Hombre, senor. We're having a private conversation here, sir. Yes. Yes. Beautiful workmanship here. Right. It's money. That's it. Chew it up real good. Everybody, bye-bye to the mayor. Bye-bye.
The heck?
Couple of guys, associates of mine, went up the mountain. They were up there for weeks. I think they came very close.
What happened?
I don't know. One didn't come back, and the other, that's his shirt.
Yeah, well, where's the rest of them?
Hospital back in town. He was a brilliant guy. Now, he could hold an in-depth conversation with a cannoli.
Is he married?
This has been to a lost and considered. Let's see your friend.
Nick, puppy, it's just not a good idea.
Because there was never a friend and you're still lying to us?
No, it's just a hospital parking, and who knows when the visiting hours are.
Fine. Tell you what, count me out of the whole thing.
Count you out? Nick, you're our partner. We love you. Can we find this without him? Nick, we'll take the bus back to the hotel tomorrow morning. We're off to the hospital.
Excellent.
Okay. And what about tonight? Happy hour?
Why not? And then the room of gold. Ooh. It might be safer if no one else knows what you two guys are doing down here in Ecuador. Know what I mean?
Safer?
Making how much where to go. Oh, there's the bus. Race you for a window seat. Hi. I'm going downstairs. They don't understand me on the telephone. How do you say cookies in Spanish? I know how to say milk. Leche.
Somebody tried to kill Nick. Look, he's wounded.
Look. Well, that's probably nothing, a mistake. Somebody got boisterous. Happens down here all
Boisterous.
the time. So what? So you got a little wound.
A woman. She's dead.
Dead? A woman?
Yes.
Where?
She's easy to spot. She's the one that's dead. That's odd.
Police must have hauled her off.
No. It's only been 5 minutes. We'd have heard the police. There'd be one of the shock outlines of the body. No,
Maybe she
police.
bounced. Like out of the hotel. Even a soft.
A gang. Her gang took her away so that no questions could be asked.
Right. So we're discounting the bouncing theory.
Completely. A gang that's going to take another shot at me.
We says gang.
Well, gangs are not necessarily bad. You know, there are nice gangs. There was our gang, alfalfa, buckwheat. All right, here's what we do. We don't wait. Tomorrow I get a car. We sneak out of the hotel tonight. We go straight up into the mountains before morning.
You never expect that.
Will they expect me to leave this hemisphere? Because that's what
I
I can do.
Why, that one crazy woman with a knife ruined what otherwise has been a very lovely experience. How many of us were having a good time before this happened? Hands. 1, 2.
What are we counting? What's the count? Are you both nuts?
Let's at least go to the hospital like we said we would, then you can decide. Sounds fair to me.
Fair.
Nick, I think Harry's right. You should go to the hospital.
Why?
Hey, can you skim a little bit to the end? Because I think the scene I was talking about was when he's dying.
Elevator. Harry. Oh, one. Just scenery. Go to room. Sit down. Cold, I swear. If
Yeah, it's like when he's lying in her arms, like
I'm
right
lying,
at that.
may God strike me dead.
Oh, there. Okay, watch from here.
This is it, dolls. I may as well tell you now. The 50,000 I gave you, don't spend it. It's counterfeit.
Don't talk.
I'm sorry I was never honest with you. I just really wanted this bad. Wanted to be somebody.
You are somebody.
Somebody with money. Would you like your limousine now, Mr. Buscafusco? 2 tickets for Rome, Mr. Buscafusco. Isn't she a little young, sir?
Is it what? Is it what? What is it?
He's like, isn't she a little young, sir?
Oh, speaking of which, speaking of devil, huh?
Yeah. That's what made me think of it. It's such a funny. That's the funniest dying scene in any movie.
Hilarious.
It got a
man,
little sad at the end.
So, you know what's interesting? I spoke to Roseanne, and we were talking about how people are, you know, how prophecy, how our people are going to get prophecy back, and Rolf Cook even said that, you know. I don't know. I don't have prophecy. I don't claim to have prophecy, but I know that people, like, we always talk about intuition. We always talk about developing your intuition and stuff like that, and you know, I don't know. It's just something is nagging at me.
You know, prophecy, what people don't know is that in the history of when the prophets were around, Israel, it had approximately 2 million prophets. The prophets that were recorded in the Hebrew scripture, right, like Isaiah and Ezekiel, right, and Zechariah and Obadiah, Habakkuk and other prophets, right? Those were prophecies that affected the public, and also prophecies that had relevance towards the future. That's why they were recorded in the scripture. But there were many, many other prophets who predicted stuff for people during their life, right? Or for things that would happen to villages in the life in the current generation of the village, and or even personal things, right? People would receive prophecy on all different levels.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that when prophecy returns, people are all of a sudden all going to receive, prophetic messages. Thus saith the Lord.
Yeah.
Such and such is going to happen, and to everyone. No, not necessarily. Okay.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I think most prophecy was information about God.
Yeah.
Like, God will help people understand more about Him, what He wants, like to understand the Bible better, to have more profound understandings of reality and existence. So people will, when they study His word, right, meaning what He transmitted to the prophets, right, what we have, what we call the Hebrew scripture, and they hear the concepts and they study the oral tradition as well, they're going to, people will get prophetic information in terms of learning more about God, because he wants apparently part of the relationship that he wants to have with us is to tell us stuff about himself, to get to know him better. And the way that's going to happen is through, it's going to be a prophetic experience. Okay, so that's partly what prophecy means, that everyone will prophesy in that sense, to various degrees.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I don't know. Listen, I hope what you're saying is true. Turns out to be reality, that they are done and they know they're done. But I asked you over the phone. I'm like, so if they're done, I mean, clearly there's, we know why they haven't. They are doing everything they can to not let Trump win, is because if he wins, he's just going to reveal everything about them. This time around, it's over for them, right? So if that's the case, and they're gonna just let this whole thing ride through, where are they gonna go? And you said, I don't know, underground, or I don't know,
Antarctica
underground,
Mars, the moon.
But I can't imagine. I mean, I don't know, man. I think they're gonna fight this to the bitter end. That's what they're gonna do. And it's scary to think about what they're actually gonna concoct.
No, I think that they may cause, just out of bitterness, right?
Yeah.
They may just decide to cause chaos and pain and misery on their way down. As much as,
For sure,
as much as much as they're able to.
They're gonna try to stoke a civil war. That's for sure.
That's what they tried to do yesterday.
Yeah.
But notice, people have been making statements, on social media, in the sense that they're saying, look, they tried to kill our candidate, MAGA candidate.
Yeah.
Do you see any MAGA people burning down cities?
No.
Do you see them attack? No, not a single fire was lit. Nothing, right?
Yeah.
So they see that they're not getting what they want. They're not going to get it. They're going to possibly try to manufacture some fake, a fake, like the Patriot Front idiot, something of that nature. They're going to
false flag,
some kind of Fed boy false flag crap. They're going to try to pull, possibly, but they're also aware that people are aware of it. People like that term false flag.
Yeah.
And I guess it's thanks to Alec Jones, even though, again, I'm not a huge fan of his anymore that much. I try to give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
Like, he's responsible for putting that concept in the public consciousness. He is.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
He also contributed to many people seeing My Brother's Protocol, so I have to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
But the guy unfollowed me on Twitter when I slightly questioned his immediate kicking Israel in the gut the moment they were attacked on October 7th.
Yeah.
I slightly questioned it, and he was like, like the other fella that we were talking about, I'm not going to mention.
Yeah.
That he just like literally couldn't even tolerate the idea that I could question him. It's like he saw, I think he was possibly going to try to use my brother to say, look, here's a Jew who is a great Jew, but he's not a Zionist or something like that, because they're going to try to use the fact that my brother spoke out against particular politicians in Israel, or the fact that he said that Israel was founded by, the state of Israel was founded by people who are anti-Torah. All of these things are true. It doesn't mean that he was against Israel as a country, or that he would ever join sides with the people who are trying to butcher us.
Yeah.
Right. And my existence, look, I may not have been successful in getting the world to know My Brother's Protocol in terms of how he felt it could treat other ssRNA viruses. I'm not giving up, but it doesn't look like I can break through to the, on a large scale. But my presence on social media is keeping certain things at bay. I might not be look, I might be delusional. I might be making a bigger deal out of myself than I actually am. But I think that my presence is big enough to not allow people to use my brother incorrectly, to try to use.
No, you're right. I mean, you know, it's interesting when you're saying that because we've been trying to get our friend Roseanne to share, you know, the interview with you and all that kind of stuff.
With her.
And with her, no, but you know what she said to me?
Interview.
No, but here's the thing. You know what she said to me? She's like, people are. She literally told me, I'm under attack. Like she's afraid it's just gonna get taken down. She's afraid her channel's gonna get taken down. She told me that her alternate, you know, she has like alternate Twitter, her personal Twitter, got taken down.
It did?
And
It got taken down, really?
or it was like severely whatever attacked, I think. And with that said, maybe she'll get another person to tweet it. I'm not gonna say who. We'll see if that happens. So it might turn out for the best.
If the person who we mentioned earlier is going to tweet it, I'm going to have to swallow my pride, huh?
I was gonna say I'm not a big fan. We've become non-big fans of him.
But it doesn't matter because people need to know this information.
Exactly.
You know?
By the way, you know this leading report on Twitter, whatever, it's a conservative kind of channel. They just said breaking news: Secret Service has blamed local law enforcement for failing to secure the rooftop.
No, this is you know this
can't be real.
This can't be. This is the setup. By the way, did you if you go to Gain of Fauci, you know, Daniel Lopez on Twitter, I don't know anybody who's getting like he's digging up stuff that's like amazing. I don't know where he gets this. He's like, I don't like obsessively, like he's actually a pretty good investigative reporter.
Yeah.
He found a clip of the supposed shooter in a commercial for a video. I posted it. You know, with
the BlackRock commercial.
Can you show the folks just
1 second. Yeah, these BlackRock guys, man. People ain't getting it. People refuse to get it.
In honors economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My name is Brian DeLallo. I teach AP and honors economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Financial well-being to me is knowing that I can be free to do the things that I love to do. I hope when I retire someday, they say, you know, that guy made this place a special place to come to school and did as much as he could to help.
Here's the kid. They circled his face. Oops. There.
That's him. I mean,
they most likely just, you know, BlackRock just goes. They probably work with the CIA. They probably go into schools. They give these kids. He was really bullied, so they probably were just like, oh, give him some mind control. Away you go.
They MK Ultra this poor kid.
Yeah.
And gave as much as he could to help the community.
Yeah. And of course, that Swalwell clown, you know, the Eric Swalwell, he was like, he posted the thing, you know, the card, the registration card of the kid that says that he's a registered Republican, but the same card that he posted, he omitted that the same card says that he donated to this thing called Act Blue, which is a Democratic organization raising funds for.
Yeah. First of all, how hard is it to come up with a fake registered Republican card?
Yeah.
And second of all,
yeah,
what the hell does that mean? Most Republicans hate Trump too. They hate MAGA.
Yeah.
It's a uniparty. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
That's not impressing anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no room for political violence. These people, dude, I'm telling you, it's like you literally have to be like, I don't know, to not see the gaslight job here.
Is it even like? I mean, was it even that kid who took the shot? I mean, it could have easily been they dumped his body up there, you know, and somebody else did it, and then it's because I saw the photograph that they took of the kid, right?
Yeah.
His blood looked pretty, like, it looked kind of old. It looked like it had already dried for a while.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like something that just happened, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And what happened to the fat Italian Antifa guy that they were blaming?
I don't know who the hell. I don't know what that was. I don't know who that was.
Villiet, he just like, they said this is the shooter. All of a sudden, people saw the photograph and they're like, that's not a fat Italian guy. That's like a skinny, like tranny kid or something like that. And then the other guy just disappeared. Like no one's talking about him anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
can I read you something that was tweeted by some lady on Twitter? This is an interesting name is Stephanie Tyler.
Sure.
She writes, she's got to be like 30. Graduated in 2012 with a degree in women's studies. Oh dear Lord. Cried in 2016 when Trump got elected. Lost touch with the Dems somewhere around Me Too. Discovered entrepreneurship. Updated my voter registration in 2018, but didn't tell anyone. Told myself I was a, quote, single issue voting centrist. The last 6 to 12 months, I believed I was going to abstain from voting in the upcoming election because the options were equally terrible. But watching Trump survive an assassination attempt and act like a total effing savage just shifted me into some strange patriotic gear that my fancy feminism white man bad infected brain never showed me. Like the dude took a bullet and stood up with the blood dripping down his face and rallied an effing crowd while fist pumping, yelling, "Fight." Sorry, but I'm voting for that. And saying it out loud feels so freeing.
Yeah. I ordered my MAGA hat. I've been meaning to do that for a long time. It's supposed to get here on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Hey, can you show the footage? I'm asking you to do this because I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
And I can't even search for stuff like on YouTube without disconnecting from StreamYard app. So I'm just letting you know, I'm not like ordering you. You're the only one who has access right now. If you could look on Twitter for that American flag angel. Did you see that? The American flag angel that right before it was like the flag that got tangled up, but it had this like. It's amazing.
Oh, this thing. Yeah.
Can you show the folks at home?
It looks like an eagle.
Well, to me, it looks like an angel.
Eagle, angel. Yeah, some people are saying eagle. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Look at that.
Oh. Crazy. I don't know about that.
With the sun, like with the sun.
It's amazing.
That.
Dude, you know that MSNBC for like the longest time, they were covering this whole, they were refusing to show the pictures, that famous picture of Trump with the flag. They were showing Trump from different angles. Nothing to do with the flag.
Oh, can we read some of the headlines?
Dude, it's insane. It was insane.
Like shooter killed during attack.
No, they were flashing on the screen. MSNBC. Trump injured. Or Trump took a fall. Like Biden took a fall. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, this was in real time. I'm just like, are these people effing real?
You have all these people making comments lately in recent weeks, like, you really don't hate the media enough, right? Like they show this, it's really true. There's no amount that is enough. Yeah. There's not enough hatred in the world that is required to hate the media properly.
This guy on Twitter is five times. He calls himself 5 times August. He's like a musician. It's pretty entertaining watching the party of abortion, body mutilation, rioting, looting, setting small businesses on fire, ripping down statues, who wanted the unvaccinated to not have hospital access, and who have been super pro-war the last several years, pat themselves on the back as non-violent ones during the last 24 hours. Truly incredible how microscopic their self-awareness is.
I think they're very self-aware. I just think that
they're just craps.
They're gaslight. They're gaslighters.
It's narcissists. Yeah. I hate to use that word so willy-nilly, but this is exactly what this.
What is that?
This is
DERVA. There's like it's like an acronym for for what these guys do. Like, forget it. Dervo. No, it's not that. Forget it. It's something I saw from James Lindsay.
Divide something. Or is this today that he wrote?
Either today or yesterday.
Let's see.
He posts a lot. You may not.
He posts a ton. We were trying to get him on the show for like a while already. He doesn't respond.
Yeah, just let him be.
Listen, it would be great to have conversations about Gnostic fruitcakes with him. I mean, he's all about it. That's his whole thing.
You know, I suspect that guys like that,
yeah,
you know, like people you think you're going to have a lot in common with and
Yeah.
should get along, but my instinct tells me not necessarily with this guy.
No, that's true.
Because I think he might be one of those dudes who feels like he owns
Yeah,
a certain, like, whatever, doesn't matter.
a certain topic. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah, I prefer. See, folks, I prefer like the path of least contact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'm against meeting people.
Yeah.
If I don't have to.
Yeah.
If there's when should you meet someone? This is a good topic. When should you meet people? Only when you have to. Only when there's a mission
Yeah.
that needs to be accomplished.
Yeah.
With a clear directive.
Like tomorrow, I have a meeting.
Yes.
About wine.
And you need to work with someone.
Yeah.
Especially when it's an important task. That's a good way to meet people.
Yeah.
Meeting someone just for the sake of meeting them.
Yeah.
Rarely goes well.
Yeah, it's like you know, lately people have been like, oh, they're like, Greg, you know, you're spending. Don't you want to like go social? It's a summer, you know. You should be like with people your age or whatever, like people in your age group, or you should be this, you should be that. You should like. There's a lot of stuff that I should be doing, and I'm just like, I don't have the desire. Like, I want to see my friends, obviously. I have my friends and people that I want to see.
Yeah, but
from time to time.
The point is, how do those people become your friends? Rarely, like rarely in pleasant circumstances.
Yeah, they became my friends. Like Eric, I know before I met him before I met you. I met him through Rage. But even then, I was in Israel, and there was a trip that came to Israel, and he was on it, and then we kind of like spoke because we like. You know, we're both like DJs, and then we didn't keep in touch for a while, and then it turns out like you know him, like we both know you, and then he started watching our show, and then I got started hanging out with him. But like, it's never a thing of like, oh, I go to these events and then I become fast friends with somebody. It's very, very rare that happens.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like I go to them, it's like you ever see here. You know Larry David, he has a thing where he goes up on stage and he sees the crowd, looks at the crowd, and he just like looks around and he goes, not tonight. And he steps off the stage, that kind of thing.
No.
Events and I look around and I'm like, no, I'm not performing tonight. And he just leaves and he goes off the stage.
I'm not feeling it. It's like,
I'm not feeling the crowd. It's like that, you know, or Larry, he has a thing where he like this is, dude, I think I've shown this before, but I want to show it again. This is Larry David. He's speaking at he's being interviewed at 92nd Street Y, and he's talking about like the guy asked him about socializing there. And this is what Larry, and he's sitting with his friend, with Jeff.
Yeah. What aspect of life pays off for you in material the most? Is it flying on airplanes, sitting in restaurants, a conversation between two married people, siblings? What is it? Where do you get?
I think I get a lot at parties and dinner parties where there's a lot of social interaction and awkwardness and regrets and faux pas. And just think, when humans get together like that, it's fraught with tension.
What was the thing?
Social intercourse is really my second trait.
What was the thing I don't want to screw it up, but what was my birthday party about a month ago? You walked up to me and what did you say? If you don't remember, I can paraphrase, but if you remember, I want you to say it.
I think I said, I have nothing more to add here.
No, you have nothing more to contribute.
I have nothing more to contribute.
He just walked up to me and he goes, I have nothing more to contribute. And I burst out laughing. I went, you can leave.
Listen.
That was the funniest thing as an exit line. I have nothing more to contribute.
They're just death, you know. I know you've got to get out of your house.
Listen.
People can't stand being in their house. So you're invited someplace and you go, and as soon as you walk in the door, oh my God, it's death. It's death. I can't believe it. Oh, I'm talking to this person. How am I going to get out of this conversation? What am I going to say to get away?
Yes.
And your mind is racing.
Yeah.
As if you're going to go to jail if you don't come up with something, you know. And you grasp at straws. I gotta get a drink, you know. I gotta go to the bathroom, yeah. And you look at friends, help, you know. It's a nightmare. It truly is. I cannot do it. It's so exhausting.
Are you in it?
Yes. Yeah, man. So replace that dinner party with Shabbat meals. Just any Shabbat meal. Forget about even like these singles. Just any meal. Dude, you're sitting there, and it's just like.
I realize I'm like Larry David in shul.
Oh, bro. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Especially when they want to play this whole. Oh my God.
Can I tell you something?
No, I'll tell you something very quickly before you tell me what you want to tell me. Before I was religious, folks, I want you to okay. And I want the folks at home, most of you are not Jewish. You walk into a bar, right? Like a bar or any place, anywhere, any place where there's public and you have to be introduced to people. And somebody asks you your name, right? And you say, hey, and they say, no, they shake your hand. They go, hey, I'm Mike. And you go, hey, I'm Bob. And then you start the conversation, right? In my effing world, hi, hey, oh, nice to meet you. Good Shabbos. My name is Tzvi. They're like, Tzvi what? I literally, you know what? I F with them now. I say Tzvi the person. They want to know my last name. Why? Because they have nothing to talk about. They have nothing up here. Like literally nothing. I'm sorry to say this. They have nothing up here. They have nothing. It's zero, gurnish. And they want to play what's called Jewish geography. Who do I know? Who do I this? And I tell them my last name because my last name is a pretty known last name apparently in the world of Chabad or in the world of like Hasidic people, Lifshitz, right? Are you related to the... And I'm like, no, I'm related to no one. I'm related to nothing. I'm associated with no one and nothing. I came from the moon. And that's when the conversation ends.
I literally sprung
my life
from a cabbage patch.
Yes. You know what I tell them? I come from the, what did I used to say? A primordial ooze of Hashem's celestial matrix. Dude, no, they're like, where are you from? They're like, no, I'm like, Tzvi. They're like, Tzvi, from? I'm like, why? Can't we just
They're
talk?
trying to establish some immediate connection. They want to, because they might know your cousin. And then all of a sudden,
yeah, but do you understand that even if they establish that, even if something, and I've had moments where we've established that, after you're done with that, whatever that connection is, that lasts about 3 minutes, and that's it, and the gas runs out of the tank. You understand? It doesn't suffice. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help me. It goes nowhere. Nothing from nothing mean nothing.
Gotta have something.
You gotta have something. You gotta have something to say if you want to talk to me.
Motherfucker won't talk to me.
Something, anything, something interesting. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted the folks at home to understand
that was a Farrakhan moment.
How
with Reverend
they
Farrakhan
are. It wasn't a Farrakhan. It's just. I want to go back to the normal world. Can I? As normal as the world is as you could see, it's not so normal, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, Greg.
Anyway, you were saying something. I apologize.
I don't even recall. No. I was going to say that Larry David. I wonder if it's really as awkward in his reality as he claims it is, or does he get so much material for his shows through those awkward moments that he tries to manufacture them.
So he said that he was asked this, and he said that many times that actually whatever he says whatever he writes, the scenarios that he writes for the show are things that he says as his character on the show to people. These are literally things that he wishes he could say to people in real life, and he doesn't. He goes, I filter myself a lot. And because if I didn't, he's like, I would have no business relationships. I wouldn't have my show. I wouldn't be able to like function ever. He's like, I would be that guy. I would be that guy with all these like, antagonistic, relationships in real life. That would be a problem.
You know what I noticed that I probably have much less of a filter than he does.
Yeah.
In reality with my shtick.
Yeah.
And I'm so like addicted to it, to like the raw honesty. I think I got addicted to it because of Patrice O'Neill. Like I literally I can't see myself going back to diplomatic, lying.
Yeah.
But the thing is, my shtick, like I have to like not censor myself, but just I realized I just have to say less things, because sometimes my shtick gets so it gets esoteric to the point where people have no idea what the hell I'm talking
it's very niche,
and then people just think of me like I'm a total idiot, or I'm crazy. But
you become the Chris Woods of your social. No offense, Chris Woods, but you're not an idiot, Chris Woods. But we don't understand. We're just
you're too esoteric. We understand 90% of what the hell you're talking about.
Yes.
Chris Woods is the kind of guy who expects you to know the model of guitar that Dusty Hill used.
Yeah.
In the live, performance, in the Grand Ole Opry in 1989.
But can I tell you something? But even that, but can I tell you something? Even that's more interesting to me. Like even someone else's esoteric ramblings out of nowhere, I would rather entertain. I would rather be what's called mikabel in Hebrew than the conversations that I have at these, encounters.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is interesting. You could learn a lot. Like Chris, it's exhausting because you say like so you write a message, and now I have to literally I have to research every reference that you made, and it takes me like an hour and a half just to decipher, a simple joke that you weren't even serious about. You just like I had to understand like 50 different references. It's too much. Who the hell knows all the stuff that you know?
Well,
I only know a little bit.
Well, you say it's exhausting. Well, to me, you know what's exhausting?
It's interesting though.
Yeah, the social. Dude, can I show the folks at home, just to go back on the Trump thing? This is the penultimate of these people's what they did, over these years, to where they can't claim to be, the good guys.
It's an actor dressed to look just like President Donald Trump as he's assassinated on stage. Look as his character is stabbed to death. And there's no mistaking the Trump connection. Check out the unbuttoned overcoat and red tie that hangs over his waist. It's a staging of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar that is outraging many. The controversial production is taking place here in New York City's Central Park. The staging is being seen as a direct jab at Trump and the controversial political climate.
Dude, it's literally like, and if you come to them and say, well, it's free speech, it's we have to be able to express ourselves.
No,
I mean, it's inside,
No, they're commie fucks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what commie fucks are.
Yeah.
Pardon my French. That's what they are.
Yeah.
They shouldn't say anything nice about them, folks. The worst thing that you can do is be polite or be accommodating or be patient with a communist.
Yeah.
You know why I'm saying that? Because they have no intention of doing that for you. They literally look at you like you're a troglodyte that needs to be done away with. You're a relic of, or at best, a fool that can be manipulated for their ends and then discarded like a piece of trash. When you're talking to someone who already has that preset mindset, they do not deserve any patience, any respect. They don't deserve your time. They don't deserve a thought. Do you understand?
Yeah.
If you can't have a dialogue with a person who already comes not respecting you.
Yeah.
They are foobarred from the get-go.
Yeah.
And they're murderers. They're insane. They're rapists. They're murderers. They're thieves. They have no conscience.
Yeah.
And also, they are gaslighters, meaning they'll say about you everything that's true about themselves. Okay? There's nothing worse than a statist.
Yeah.
And a statist includes fascist and communist and socialist, but not enough people know the term statist. It's a great term which includes, it kind of boils down who these people are. It shows you the similarity between all of them.
Yeah.
Right? But not enough people understand what this term statist means.
Yeah.
When we say commie, fascist, whatever, you know, it's not very graceful the way explaining this, but this was done by design too. So it's hard to pinpoint. You know what I mean? They try to like move around like this, but that's what they are. All right. So they don't deserve a place at your table. They don't deserve a spot at the debate because they don't think you deserve one. But they're not telling you that from the get-go. Do you understand? Folks, do you know what it's like to deal with someone like that? Someone who is coming to condescend to you. They're not honest about the way they feel. It's the exact opposite of this show. Truth Fanatics. This show is telling you how we feel from the get-go. No bullshit. You know exactly what's on our minds. Literally no filter. So you can decide whether or not you want to hang out with us, or you want to listen to us, or you want to talk to us, right, or interact with us. You see, they come to you. The communists are the exact opposite of us. They come to you as they pretend that in a friendly or kind way, but really they're coming to either teach you or judge you or both.
Yeah.
And if they determine, discard you. Whether you may, because you're not enlightened enough to understand the sublime realities of the philosophers.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what you're dealing. There's nothing worse than them. Nothing. They deserve nothing. Not an iota of respect. They are subhuman.
Yeah.
A person who gets to that state of mind, look, there really are subhumans in the world. And you can judge them.
Yeah.
You can find them by their behavior.
It has nothing to do with race, actually.
There's nothing to do with what their ethnicity is, or what their skin color is, or what their religion, or, you know, well, they don't have real religion, but, you know, from what their background is. It's something that, look, anywhere you go on Earth, right, you'll find a type of people and a type of culture inhabiting that geographic location. There's things in common that every geographic location has. Okay? There's elements of reality that human beings all have to deal with. Right? There's going to be some overlap everywhere you go. People get sad, people get hungry, people get sleepy, they get aroused, they get angry. Everybody goes through the same emotions and also the same pitfalls. There's a pitfall. There's a version of, you know, whatever pitfalls you have, moral pitfalls that you have from where you come from, right? This happens to certain people, right? In my neck of the woods, let's say, whatever people, I'm just saying, you know, hypothetically, let's say you're from, you know, a poor town in the middle of the country. People get, you know, they die from fentanyl or from meth, or they get addicted to certain things. They get involved in certain things, and it's bad. People have a tendency to do that because they're bored and they're desperate. So in my town, this is what happens. If you go to the Eskimos, They have some version of that. It might not be exactly, but people have the same pitfalls. Okay, so the communist statist pitfall exists in every location. Everywhere you fall, everywhere you go on the globe, every geographic location has the same potential for people to fall into that shit. Okay, because communism didn't come out of thin air, and it wasn't created by, out of a figment of somebody's imagination. It's an acceptance, or it's an embrace of the worst characteristics that a human has. When a person embraces and indulges the worst character traits that they find within themselves, justifies them, and elevates them as something virtuous, that's communism. That can happen anywhere. That's why it's so easy to find. That's why it's so easy for communists to find like-minded assholes. Easy, stupid, emotional, angry, bitter, dumbass teenagers. Right? Why? Why do we have so many teenagers that fall into this garbage? You know why? Because people don't follow the Torah. What do I mean? The Torah says, if you're a parent, it is your job to educate your children, which means that if you are a farmer, your kids should be with you farming. That's their education. You have a skill, you have the obligation to teach this skill to your children. You don't give your children to strangers. You idiots, you give your children to strangers to be their parents, to raise them, to stuff their ideas. A stranger sticking his ideas or her ideas into your kid's mind is making you estranged from your own children. Okay? You're the one that's supposed to be teaching your kids. You're the one that's supposed to be spending time with your kids.
And I talked to my mom about this, and we talk about specifically, my parents' friends who are Soviet Jews, and how do they not tell their kids about what happened in the Soviet Union, and how do they not relate it to connected to what's happening now. And my mom keeps telling me, she's like, well, so and so didn't want to. They don't talk about politics with their kids. They don't want to lose their kids. And I said, they're either going to lose them because they talk about politics, or lose them, for a short period of time, or they're going to lose them forever. Like lose them, ideologically lose them. These people are stupid.
Everybody's stupid. They let why are they scared of losing their kids? Because you gave your kids to other adults,
to beasts,
other adults downloaded their crap into the mind of your child. How could you let that happen? Obviously, I understand how you could. I'm sounding like I'm very judgmental. I just want people, and I understand. I was the same. I went to public school, and this is what everybody does. I understand that it's very common, but I just want people to understand how insane it is.
Yeah.
People think it's okay to do it because everybody else is doing it. It's a horrible thing to do.
Yeah.
Horrible.
There's
look, I just want to say, FDR is the devil. If the devil ever manifested on the face of the earth, it's that son of a bitch, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He's the one, if I'm not mistaken, who is responsible for public school. Can you look that up really quick?
Yeah.
I don't want you to forget.
Yeah. I'll just read something, maybe, and then we'll talk about it, and then I'll find it on public school. Who started?
You're mumbling, sir. You're mumbling.
I said no. I'm just.
But it sounds like you're trying to escape early.
No. The first
dereliction of duty. I feel it.
Well, first of all, the first public school in America was in 1635, but you're talking about specifically.
I'm talking about the public school system, the Department of Education.
Yes. He's the one that started officially opened it. Yes, correct. That is correct.
Folks, before this, right, or the further you go back, people were, before public school, people were, look, I'm sorry, they were more literate, and they were more skilled, and they understood more about civics because they were taught locally, either by their parents or like, you know, the church in the small town also served as the schoolhouse, right? And people knew the people knew the teacher, okay? And you knew what they were being taught.
Yeah.
And there were consequences, by the way.
Yeah.
If a teacher was found to be teaching things that were not in approval by the parents, you know, that teacher was fired, or
you had parent teacher conferences and all that kind of thing. I mean, you still do, but
no, I'm talking about like, you know, 1900, pre-1900, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, before, so if you had to, you know, give your kid to, you know, to a school, then it was something that was not taken lightly. Education in general was valued a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're going to go do it, then, you know, then it better be things that are useful and important, because people didn't have a lot of time to waste. Okay. So also people kind of, you know, had a sense of what they were going to do with their life, because especially if, you know, if you didn't have FU money, like most people didn't, right? You had to have a profession so that you can, you know, survive. You have to live somehow, right? So you need something to do which, you know, can bring a livelihood. Okay. So people focused on that. And if they had extra time, then they read literature, and they, you know, they indulged in projects that they had, which is what most science was. Like most of the science that, you know, in the 17, 18, and early 1900s was done by people just experimenting. Like, for instance, I bring up Jack Parsons a lot. He's the guy who started JPL, right? NASA, right? He was one of the NASA pioneers. Even though he was a Gnostic fruitcake, he was not formally educated. He was just, since he was a kid, he was a rocket hobbyist.
Yeah.
And he just got more and more into it. And he knew more about rockets than most of the physicists in the world, because he had real world experience. But he never had a PhD. He never had a degree or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's Faraday, for instance, right? You know, electricity pioneer. He was doing experiments in his basement. The great writers, they wrote in their spare time when they could. They, you know, they wrote because they couldn't not write. See, that's the thing. Like people have this illusion, like, oh, I want my kid to go to college so they can become a great writer if they want to, or they can become a great physicist or something. No, your kid would have already done that. Like, for instance, Michio Kaku. He talks about how he created a particle accelerator when he was 13, and he caused a blackout in his neighborhood. He used up too much power. Okay? He did that when he was 11 or 13 or something like that. He was already doing that. He was already a scientist before he got there. So that's, you know, so you don't become something by going to school.
Yeah.
Okay, you already have to be that thing if you're gonna, you know, become like a famous.
It's got to be in you.
It's already happening. It's you can't not do it. So if your kid doesn't have something like that, then he or she needs a basic education.
Yeah.
Okay, they need to know how to do, you know, I mean, math is always useful for everyone at every level, right?
Yeah.
You know, even up to, like, you know, algebra and calculus, that's useful for everybody. Okay. You know, reading and writing. Okay. You know, some basic stuff, and then the rest really should be skills, you know, like training, a vocation. That's what most people should be like. And then it doesn't mean that your kid is just going to be, you know, a mechanic or an electrician or whatever, or, you know, or a hairstylist for their whole life. There's, you know, they can get into something along the way. They can pick up an interest later in life. Many people have done that.
Yeah.
Like, who's the famous person? Grandma Moses.
Yeah.
Famous painter, right?
Yeah.
Started painting in her, like, late hundreds or something.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Probably in the late 80s or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. But if a person doesn't already have like some kind of, insanity that they're into, some kind of like major interest, when they're a child, then they all they need is to learn a basic skill that you could probably teach them.
Well, that's what the Talmud says. It talks about, how the father should give his son a skill.
Yeah. Okay. Don't give your kids to somebody else.
Yeah.
Teach them because you were tricked with promises that your kid's going to be some kind of important academic or some kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, 2017, when I first started my business, I was invited to listen to a lecture given by this pro-Israel Irish guy, anthropology PhD, about the wineries of Judea and Samaria. This is at Harvard. So I'm sitting there, and this is anthropology. This is not a political science course. Anthropology is either, there's things that are either, obviously you can speculate on certain anthropological, things, but things are either, they're either true or they're not true. They're either based on a method, based on history, based on archaeology, based on research, or they're not, right? Or they're just something you pull out of your tuchus. So he's just talking about the wineries of Judea and Samaria, how there used to be wineries there, and how people have now come back, and then how it's connected to, whether you believe in the Torah or Bible or not, how it's connected to these writings that were written at a certain period of time in history, right? Called the Tanakh. And then the head of the department, one of the heads of the department, actually a lady with a Jewish last name, pipes up and says, well, weren't these things that were found, in Shiloh, in the place called Shiloh, they were only found like 200 years ago? And then I was just like, I was silent the entire time, because the entire time you had these students, these PhD candidates asking him questions about the Zionist enterprise. This is 2016. And that's when I realized, I'm like, something is wrong here. This is not a political science course. You either accept that there were Jews there are Jews there now, it's biblical land. You accept that fact, or you don't. That's your problem, but don't turn this into your little rally, And it was crazy. And I popped up and I said, Professor, with all due respect, they found this. This is dated back to at least the Byzantine era, And I don't know. I just realized that like this actually Jewish guy, like older Jewish guy, was sitting in front of me, came up to me. He's like, thank you for saying something, because he was like, I thought I was losing my mind. He just came there just to kind of sit on a lecture. And I was just like, wow, man. And I was like, and I asked my friend, Professor, I'm like, dude, is this par for the course? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, that's why I'm out of here. I'm finishing my dissertation and I'm out of here. I'm going to, he's like, he went to Singapore. The university gave him a $1 million grant in Singapore. And he goes, it's just meritocracy, man. They just want you to do the research. Whatever it is that you're doing, as long as you're doing it properly, you're not wasting their money, it's fine. He's like, dude, I don't know. I don't know what happened at Ivy League. I don't know what happened at Harvard, but I want no part of it. He's like, I want no part of it. And now, we fast forward 8 years later, and we saw what we saw the last few months. Dude, can I read to you something written by this guy, Spike Cohen, on Twitter about this whole situation? And it kind of speaks to what I've been saying. Maybe you can agree or disagree. He said, my message to Trump, there's not a shot in hell that this shooter got on the roof of that building without the Secret Service seeing him. No way. You have to know that. They're going to keep at this until you're dead. There is no reforming the alphabet mafia. They were created by the criminal organizations, to be criminal organizations. Secret Service, CIA, FBI, ATF, DEA, DHS, IRS, all of them. And at the top of it all, the Federal Reserve. They assassinate people. They traffic drugs. They traffic guns. They traffic humans. They prop up drug cartels and terrorist organizations. They topple foreign governments. They work directly with the worst of the worst. And they do it so they can run up endless debt to enrich themselves and their friends and stick it stick us all with the inflation and debt they ran up. And they want you dead. Replacing dem-appointed agency heads with people who stroke your ego won't fix it. It did not last time. Giving them more funding and personnel won't fix it. It didn't last time. Trying to get them on your side won't fix it. It didn't last time. Deferring to the experts won't fix it. Remember what Fauci talked you into? Criminal organizations can't be fixed. They can only be ended or allowed to become more dangerous. If you're reelected, those will be your two options. They want to end you. End their agencies first. That's it. I was always saying these organizations are like the American KGB version. All those guys, all those agencies. The only thing stopping them from doing really what they wanted to do was the fact that our amazing system that we had of checks and balances. As long as someone was, wasn't like a total, the people appointing them, the people ordering them around was a total American hating clown. But the minute you appoint a certain profile of people at these agencies, it becomes your weapon.
It's similar, by the way. Can I just say something quickly? When you elect a representative on the federal level, right, that you can't access locally, that's very similar to sending your kid away to spend all day with a teacher that's going to be the main influence in their life. When you send your representative who is supposed to represent your district, your congressman, you send them far away across the country to Washington, D.C. to hang out in this little elite circle that is closed off from the rest of the country. They have really no idea, and then they start to, or they already almost immediately don't care what's going on back home. Do you understand? They're not there representing you anymore. They're now part of the deep state. So it'd be insane to allow your representative to go off and go anywhere near Washington. You have to keep your representative at home where you can get to them and whoop their ass if they're not doing the job that they were hired to do. Okay? They got to know that there's accountability. Right now, there's no accountability because you send them far away to Washington where you can't get at them, and they have the illusion that they're going to be okay. Some of these guys, they can't move to where they came from because they screwed over all the people that elected them. Okay, so that's something that needs to be adjusted. Where federal representatives, because we have communication technology now, we got Zoom, or what's the stream? Excuse me, we got StreamYard, and we got what's the Cloud Hub service?
Meetings.
Right, we have Meetings, which is a great. It's a better version of Zoom, much more private. Okay, for people, and it has automatic translation between languages. It's pretty amazing. Cloud Hub is offering an amazing product. So because technology like that exists, you don't need to put everybody in a single building. You don't need to create like an esoteric club that you're not a part of, that you don't know what's going on in the meetings. You don't know if the guy that you hired to do a job is actually working for you. Okay? You hire somebody, you end up working for them. How the hell did that happen? That's what you're doing when you're sending these people to Washington. So that has to change drastically. Okay, that was, if the founding fathers, they weren't perfect, and that was a huge screw up. Another thing is the country was much smaller when they would send representatives to the Capitol.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't. I mean, it was harder to travel to, right? But people at that time were more serious, and the candidates or the representatives were understood that they had more to lose. People would act more. The average person.
Yeah.
So candidates would behave, a little bit, but still, it was not a good idea. That's something that needs to change. You can have federal representatives, but they have to stay put where they're from.
Yeah.
before we go, I was trying to think recently. I was thinking about something that it occurred to me that the 80s had that we'd never spoken about yet. And it was like this massive thing. I'm like, how the hell have we not spoken about it? And I can't. Do you remember like just in the last couple of days?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what that was.
I know what you're talking about, but I know that we mentioned something, but I forget what it was. I mean, we spoke about like analog and digital, that kind of thing.
It wasn't that. I think it was magic. Like literal magic. Like I think it might. I'm not sure if that's what it was, but like magicians, like magic. Like Lance Burton.
Yeah.
Right. The 80s had it was filled with magic. Okay, fine. Okay, so you could say, oh, what about Chris Angel, or what about what's the guy's name?
Yeah, David Blaine. David Copperfield.
No, but David Copperfield's from the 80s.
Yeah.
That was his decade, the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And it was really something unbelievable. It was really, truly mesmerizing. Like there were so many magicians, and also comedy magicians, but magic was simply huge in the 80s. Huge. Okay. And I think that the thing about David Blaine and Chris Angel is that they really tried hard to make it somewhat cool again, because people had forgotten. It's been so long since anybody was conscious of magicians or magic acts that they rehashed a lot of the old tricks, and they're like walking on the street showing it to people as if it was like mind blowing. They never seen anything so unbelievable before. But it's really, they're just showing stuff that magicians have been doing for centuries.
Huh. Yep.
And so there was magic. There was like this, and magic can only, that kind of like wonder.
Yeah.
Can only really be popular or exist in an environment that is like open to it. That's what the 80s were like.
It's in an environment that's not only open to it, but an environment that still has some level of innocence, and it almost seems like you know what I sometimes think about. Like it almost seems like because of social media, it almost seemed like society feels like a lot of people are just jaded. They've seen it all. They've seen everything. They've seen every kind of performance, every kind of sport, every kind of everything, right? And nothing, with the exception of a president getting shot, and even then, it doesn't seem like nothing gets people terribly excited anymore. Like yesterday, even today, like I'm in Manhattan. I was talking to Roseanne about this on the phone. I told her, and she's like, "So she didn't know I was in New York. She thought I was in Israel." And she's like, "So how's New York?" I'm like, "Well, people don't seem to be terribly. Maybe it's because I only saw a couple of people on the street. I had a meeting this morning. Sunday mornings in Manhattan, especially the upper West Side, it's pretty quiet. But it didn't seem like people were terribly shaken. Remember, like reports of like JFK got shot.
Yeah,
people were just shaken to the core. Shaken.
What's that doctor's name? What's that doctor's name? Simone Gold.
Gold, yeah.
Did you see like her thing on Twitter?
What is she?
She was saying she did this video, and she was in Times Square, like the day.
Oh yeah, they didn't even report it.
The next day, and
this is insane.
Like, she was in a place that had like 7.
No, it was the same day. It was the same day, like minutes after, or an hour after. Still nothing.
Right, and also when she looked outside the place that she was at, and they showed. Well, let's watch it.
Yeah.
Friends, I'm in the middle of Times Square, and I just got the news that President Donald Trump has been shot, and I'm completely shocked. I've heard it appears he's okay, but look behind me. I'm in the center of Times Square with huge video monitors behind me, huge TVs behind me. Not a single report on the news about the president being shot. Now, on the other side of Times Square, we're looking over Times Square. This is the center of New York. You see all those video monitors outside? Right? See all this? None of them are reporting that the presidential candidate for the Republican Party has been shot. Not a word. Look at that.
I mean, granted, those are ads, but there's a main screen in Times Square.
Any one of them could be used in an emergency to show something very important.
Yeah. Dude, you know what I realized with this whole Secret Service thing? There's a little character that depicts, Russian grandmas called Baba Fira, and she has a phrase in Russian. I'll say it in Russian. Когда ты хочешь, ты можешь. Human beings are so simple. When they really want, they do.
Yeah.
If the Secret Service really wanted to stop this guy, they would.
Even if they tried a little bit, they would have.
Yeah. Like if whoever wanted to say anything, make any statement about anything publicly about any event in human history, like people are like, oh, this person is oddly quiet. Yeah, because he doesn't want to say anything because he's a piece of crap. And the people who run to say it immediately, we know why they're saying what they're saying because we know how they feel. And it's not a surprise. There's nothing shocking anymore.
Look,
okay.
You know what? I'm shocked that Trump allowed women to be his Secret Service bodyguards. That's insane. Folks, I'm not even going to say I'm sorry. I'm not sorry at all.
No, listen.
Women should not be bodyguards to giant men or to really any men.
Dude is 6'5" or whatever he is. Yeah.
That's retarded.
Yeah, it is retarded.
That's insane. It doesn't make any sense. It's literally, it goes against the laws of physics and biology. It's stupid. It's trans.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Okay?
Yeah.
It's Gnostic.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's like LARPers have now become, have grown up and now they're in the real world and they think that they can. You can't do that. I can't believe he allowed that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if had he refused it, it would have been like huge news. Like, Trump, whatever. He's still worried about what people think, so he wants to.
Yeah. Can I play something from Dan Bongino, the guy that used to be the Secret Service guy? He has a thing where he talks about how these people are actually some of these people we think are Secret Service. They're actually DHS people, Department of Homeland Security agents, and very limited, kind of training or expertise for such a situation. I just can't find. I just literally had this, and it's killing me that I can't now find it. I just literally had this clip of him talking about this.
While you're looking for it, we should say a word about the man who was killed.
Yeah.
There's a guy who was literally he died shielding his wife and daughter.
Yeah.
And he was a fireman.
Yeah.
I think a fire marshal.
There's a lot of like former or current at this rally. A lot of law enforcement there. People, the mayor of that little town or whatever. They interviewed him. He was a former, I guess he was Marine or whatever, military guy. So here, this is Dan Bongino talking about here.
I'm getting from a number of sources that people are feeding to me their information, obviously, because they want to fix it. They're concerned that I think you're going to see a lot of whistleblowers. I'm hearing there were very, very few. I don't want to give an exact number, but very few actual, I don't think anyone else has reported this, actual Secret Service poststanders at that site. That they were temp HSI, Homeland Security folks, they're great folks. I'm not knocking them, but that's not what they do specifically. We do protection and we're trained for that. So I'm hearing that. I'm also hearing that the counter sniper team, that they had a problem seeing over the elevation. That's why I didn't engage right away.
Oh, come on.
But that's not the problem. The problem, well, it's the problem, but that's not the problem is, where the hell was the aerial visual support? Why was there no helicopter? Why was there no drone? Why was there no FLIR? Why was there no thermal? Forward-looking infrared. How the hell is the crowd acting as the freaking counter surveillance
I
operation?
know, if that's the best asset you have is random Trump supporters telling police that there's a guy with a gun, what technology are they deploying? They're bragging about they have all this new technology. I didn't see it.
Yeah. No, these people are like at best, these people are the wrong people for the job. At worst, these were deliberate.
It was deliberate.
Sabotage by Mayorkas. Yeah.
Of course it was.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I don't know. Like you're saying that they're done and they're done. They're done and they're done.
Again,
You know, this guy's saying they're not done.
I'm just telling you that the level. Here, my main point is the following: the level of miracle that occurred, I think, might have even affected those who are trying to do this.
For sure. I mean, we know they affected people who were like Democrats who are going to now vote for him.
No, what I'm saying is it affected those who are trying to kill him, like the actual people.
Their morale.
Where they're like, we tried literally everything for years, nothing stuck. We literally tried to hit him with a bullet. We know the bullets weren't defective because they killed that other poor man.
Yeah,
and they seriously injured, I think, another person. I think it was a lady, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that he turned at that exact moment, it really, I think they're like, I don't think we can. I don't think this is. I think God is clearly.
This is not feasible.
Right. God is clearly.
Or they're going to be like those biblical characters who just keep going despite what God is showing them. Just keep going and going and going until they destroy themselves, until they meet their destruction. Just like you said, you know, it's like the Wicked Witch of the West. I'm melting, I'm melting, I'm melting, I'm melting. I can't believe. Look what you've done. I'm melting. Okay.
I hope that's not the case.
Well,
it doesn't have to be.
No, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. You know what I think is going to happen? You know, the Olympics are coming up, so what they're gonna do is they're gonna allow our other friends, the friends that we haven't heard. Well, you know, today they supposedly they killed this Mohammed Daf guy.
Yeah, thank God.
Supposedly, there's a giant crater in Gaza. Him and another one of the top guys, military guys.
It should be. They should when they recolonize that.
Yeah.
Did I just say recolonize?
When we
finally get our land back.
Yes.
We should turn that into a piss fountain.
Yes.
And literally piss on their graves for 1,000 years.
That's funny. You know how you say a pool, you know, like a swimming pool in I think it's in French, piscine. So what was I going to say about that? Oh yeah, so the Olympics are coming up, so they may just allow our friends to do something at the Olympics, and that'll be the focus for that time, and then probably after Tisha B'av they'll restart their festivities.
I just want to tell you, the Olympics are retarded.
They are retarded. I agree.
The fact that you would put yourself in that situation, where you know, just like it's like a big fat. It's like a duck putting a target on its back.
Yeah.
Like, let me go to a place where I'm a perfect target for a political act of terror.
Dude, you remember Scarface? He's like, I love this town. It's like a big fat something waiting to be something.
Yeah.
Miami. Listen, can I tell you, you know, there was a joke, and you can apply it to Biden, but they said it about Brezhnev, you know, when Brezhnev was already, and I'll play actually a video from Brezhnev. They have a video of Brezhnev talking, you know, in 1979 after his stroke. He was already like not all there. His handlers were, you know, ruling the country. So there's a joke. Brezhnev gets up, you know, in front of the country, and he wants to wish the Olympic athletes good luck. So he's reading from the piece of paper. And they're like, Leonid Ilyich, these are not O's. These are the Olympic rings.
Oh.
Oh. So it's Biden, he's just like, oh. Mr. President, that's just the cover page of the Olympic logo. It's not anything.
Did you watch the Bart Sadok video that I sent?
I saw that. Yeah. I saw it. Yeah. I saw it.
He seems to think that it's sealed.
What that the election
that Trump will be the president. I don't see him say stuff. He keeps it pretty vague.
He keeps it pretty. Listen, I think he will be the president. I just think before we see that, there's going to be stuff. There's going to be stuff. They're going to provoke us. Here, this is Brezhnev. He was, I don't know if he was drunk. He was just after his. There's a long version. I'll give you the short version. This is like behind kind of like the scenes of him preparing a speech. By the way, my father said that this was not seen by the Soviet people. He said if people would have seen this, they would have like stormed the Bastille, probably. This is 1979.
Желаю всем вам здоровья,
New Year's
счастья, мирной и радостной жизни.
Нервной. He's like giving instructions.
Камеру. Когда кончите читать, то подольше посмотрите. И больше пауз. Просто не торопитесь. И если руками что-нибудь сделаете, тоже неплохо.
То мне ничего, я бы что-нибудь мог бы.
Ну ладно, можно карандаши, да. Только не стучите. Только не стучите карандашами. Будет посмотрите. Вот хорошо. Вот это хороший книг. Вот чудо.
Dude, he's talking to him like a little child, He spoke to him
I literally cannot believe what I just saw.
It's crazy, right? The premier of the Soviet Union. My dad said if they would have seen that, they would have shot the guy talking to him like this.
I can't believe that guy. That guy, that reminds me of Reagan's joke.
Yeah.
About
which one?
About well,
we could look it up.
No, I'll tell you the joke where he says that the cops, the highway patrolmen in Russia, they were told that people are the laws have gotten very lax and there are accidents that are happening because people are not obeying the traffic. So there's a new directive that says you have to be totally strict, no leeway given to anyone, not including literally everyone. It applies to literally everyone. That's the directive they were given.
Yeah.
So there were two of these highway patrol that they're on motorcycles.
Yeah.
And so the next day, Gorbachev was heading out, and he was going somewhere. I think, I don't know, maybe his office or somewhere else.
Yeah.
And he came downstairs. His driver was waiting for him, and he's like, you know what? Let me drive. I haven't driven for a while. Give me, I don't want to sit in the back. I feel like driving. So he's like, where do I? He goes, you go sit in the back. I'll drive.
Mm-hmm.
And he's driving. He hasn't driven in a while. He's enjoying himself, and he goes past the speed limit and doesn't even notice the traffic cops. And then so the traffic cops they see his car, and they're like, should we go after him? He goes, well, listen, you heard the directive from the chief. So he turns on the siren and pulls Gorbachev over, and he gets to him, and he gets to the driver's side window, and he sees it's Mikhail Gorbachev, the premier of Russia, and his colleague sees this happening from a distance, and then he sees the guy come back, and he goes, did you give him a ticket? He goes, oh, no. He goes, well, who was it? He goes, but we were told we have to give tickets. He goes, no, not this person. He goes, well, what's going on? who was it? He goes, well, I don't know who it was, but Gorbachev was his driver.
I play a few. They have
no, but that's the.
Yeah.
Why did I bring up that joke? Because who the hell was just treating Brezhnev like a little child?
Yeah.
In Soviet Russia. That must be
Yeah.
the guy in charge.
Yeah. No, there were people. Yeah, there were people. Listen, just like there are people in charge of Biden for like the entire last 3 years.
Yeah.
Let's play some of these Reagan jokes. He told amazing.
Reagan was the world's funniest president.
He was, yeah.
I mean, I don't know
Apart
how
from-
funny, I don't know how funny,
Funny
Teddy
how
Roosevelt was.
Yeah. Funny how. Funny how.
James Madison might have been hilarious. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Collecting stories that are told in the Soviet Union by their people among themselves, which reveal they've got a great sense of humor, but they've also got a pretty cynical attitude toward their system. And I told this one, Bill, you'll have to hear it again. I told it in the car. I didn't tell this one to Gorbachev. You know, there's a 10-year delay in the Soviet Union of delivery of an automobile. And only 1 out of 7 families in the Soviet Union own automobiles. There's a 10-year wait. And you go through quite a process when you're ready to buy, and then you put up the money in advance. And this happened to a fella, and this is their story that they tell, this joke. That this man, he laid down his money, and then the fella that was in charge said to him, okay, come back in 10 years and get your car. And he said, morning or afternoon? And the fellow behind the counter said, well, 10 years from now, what difference does it make? And he said, well, the plumber's coming in the morning. I just want to, I can't resist. I'm supposed to quit right here. But, yes. But in view of the 5 things that I just said, I don't know whether you know it or not, but I have a new hobby. I am collecting stories that I can actually prove are told among the Russian people. They make them up themselves, they tell them between themselves, reveals they got a great sense of humor, and they've also got a little cynical attitude about things in their country. And one of these stories, the one I'm going to tell you, I told to General Secretary Gorbachev, and he laughed. The story was an American and a Russian arguing about their 2 countries, and the American said, look, in my country, I can walk into the Oval Office, I can pound the president's desk and say, Mr. President, I don't like the way you're running our country. And the Russian said, I can do that. The American said, you can? He says, yes. I can go into the Kremlin, to the General Secretary's office, pound his desk and say, Mr. General Secretary, I don't like the way President Reagan's running his country. You know, less than 1 family out of 7 in the Soviet Union owns an automobile. Most of the automobiles are driven by the bureaucrats. The government furnishes them and drivers and so forth. So an order went out one day to the police that anyone caught speeding,
there you
no
go.
matter who, gets a ticket. Well, Gorbachev came out of his country home, his dacha. He was late getting to the Kremlin. There was his limousine and driver waiting. He told the driver to get in the back seat. He'd drive it. Down the road he went. They passed 2 motorcycle cops. One took out after him. And pretty soon he's back with his buddy. And his buddy says, well, did you give him a ticket? And he said, no. Well, he said, why not? Oh, he said, that's too important. Well, he said, we're told to give anybody a ticket, no matter who it is. Oh, he said, no, this one was too, I could. Well, he said, who was it? He said, I couldn't recognize him. But his driver was Gorbachev.
Yeah.
One of the more recent ones that I heard was about the man walking along the street at night, Moscow. A Soviet soldier called to him to halt. He started to run. The soldier shot him. And another man said, why did you do that? Well, he said, curfew. Well, he said, it isn't curfew yet. He said, I know. He's a friend of mine. I know where he lives. He couldn't have made it. I heard one about a fellow who went to the KGB to report that he lost his parrot. The The KGB asked him why he was bothering them. Why didn't he just report it to the local police? Well, he answered, I just want you to know that I don't agree with a thing my parrot has to say.
Yeah.
Hey, can you stop it?
Which makes me think of a story. Everything makes me think.
Yeah.
In the previous scene, that it said ZE in the background.
ZE?
Yeah.
Oh no, ZB.
Oh, ZB. Really?
I don't know if Z. I think it's like I think it's like a university, like a fraternity thing. One of these.
Interesting. That's the first two letters of my brother's name.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
First two letters of my last name too. But
Yeah.
Which makes me think of a story. Everything makes me think of a story. About 3 dogs, an American dog and a Polish dog and a Russian dog. They were all having a visit, and the American dog was telling them about how things were in this country. He said, you bark, and you bark long enough, and then somebody comes along and gives you some meat. And the Polish dog said, what's meat? The Russian dog says, what's bark? I have to interrupt right here and tell you that one of my visits, I won't name him, I don't want to embarrass him, but one of the heads of state that I met with on this visit, he gave me one while I was on the way. Told me the story about the 2 fellows in the Soviet Union that were walking down the street, and the one of them says, have we really achieved full communism? Is this it? Is this now full communism? And the other one said, oh, hell no, things are going to get a lot worse.
Exactly.
Wow,
This is
I
what
just
I'm.
built the most.
This is what I'm talking about with regards to. I think I told you, Reagan. I was shocked to find out that Reagan was. His funeral was on Gimel Tammuz. Was on the yard side of the Rebbe.
What year was it?
2004.
Wow, 10 years, precisely 10 years later on the same day.
Yeah, he passed away on this 26th of Sivan, but his funeral was evening of, sunset, Gimel Tammuz. Crazy, huh?
Unbelievable.
It's almost like God was like.
No, it really shows a connection between, our best leaders and the Lubavitcher Rebbe.
Oh yeah, big time. We went over that.
So unbelievable.